So as you guys may or may not know, I play video games, and one of the games I've played is called Sleeping Dogs. It's this game called Sleeping Dogs, and it takes place in Hong Kong. It's like this open world game where you're like this, fucking working for the police, but you're also, kind of tied into some gangs. It's just like GTA 5 in China, right? But Hong Kong. So I know Hong Kong a little bit. That's my experience with Hong Kong. What I played in that game, right? Which is, I guess that's a lot of the ways that I experience places that I can't actually go there physically is through, whatever other mediums I could use. And that's mine, Hong Kong. We got another video by Explained with Dom, Dark Side of Hong Kong, the real life dystopia. Let's get right into it.
This is Hong Kong, the financial capital of Asia, a place filled with incredible wealth and a home of more ultra-high net worth individuals than any other place on the planet. And this is Hong Kong as well, a place where every fourth person lives below the poverty line, where the elderly are forced to scavenge for waste just to survive, and where hundreds of thousands of people live in the urban hell of so-called cage homes. Several decades ago, Hong Kong began an incredible experiment that was supposed to turn it into a capitalist paradise. A place where the market is the king and money is power, where anything can be achieved and where everyone is out for themselves. But along the way, something went horribly wrong.
Everybody is already
and
out for themselves.
The result is a dystopian present
Congrats,
where the rules of the game have been rigged, with an insane housing crisis, one of the highest inequality levels in the world, and an incredible wealth paid for by an even more incredible poverty. So what happened to Hong Kong? How bad it all really is? And how bad is it gonna get? This is the dark side of Hong Kong.
Okay, tell us.
Perhaps you have seen the statistics. Hong Kong is the world's most expensive city to live in, and many of its citizens are forced to live in conditions that would be unimaginable in any other place as rich as Hong Kong. It has the least affordable housing in the world, way ahead of already expensive places like New York, San Francisco, or LA. It would take over 20 years for an average citizen to save for an apartment if they
Look at this. Look at all the AC units.
Did not spend any of their income, and those who rent spend on average over 50% of their income on it, more than in any other city in the world. But even so, people still need to live somewhere, and so the phenomenon of so-called cage homes has emerged over the years. The official name for those are subdivided flats, because they are essentially normal Hong Kong apartments further divided, often illegally, into a large number of extremely small living units. To demonstrate how tiny these are, this is an average apartment in Tokyo, this in New York, this one in Paris, this one in Hong Kong, and this is the size of an average subdivided flat.
Tokyo 702. That's the average home in Paris? Yo, Hong Kong houses are small. But Paris too.
AKA cage home, which is even smaller than the average size of a standard US parking lot, and many of them are way smaller than that. But while this might seem like a simple case of supply and demand, a lot of people in a small space, in Hong Kong's case, this is not really true, and the reality is a lot worse. The fact is that Hong Kong could quite easily build a lot more housing and decrease the price by doing so, because only a quarter of its territory is built up, and only 7% of it is zoned for residential development. But instead, it is actively choosing not to do
7% of the 24%?
Why is that? Well, to explain, we need a quick history recap. But first, let me tell you about the sponsor of this video, Brilliant. If you're watching this, you're probably a bit like, then you're gonna
get your money, dog. Get your money. Get that ad money. Let's go.
For subscription.
Good for you, man.
Song has been nothing more than a completely unimportant small fishing village subscription.
Wait, what?
And now back to the video. For most of its history, Hong Kong has been nothing more than a completely unimportant small fishing village on the periphery of China. And even when it was taken from China by Great Britain and it started to slowly grow bigger, it seemed like it will remain just as unimportant as it has always been. But then, after the Second World War, the British colonial government made a radical decision that defined the course of Hong Kong's future and made it into what it is today, with both its successes and its flaws. The government decided that Hong Kong will follow the principles that became known as positive non-interventionism, basically the purest form of capitalism. The idea was that government regulations and interventions are what holds the economy back, and that the only thing that the government should do is to get out of the way. And Hong Kong did exactly that. Until the late 20th century, it had no tariffs and no customs, no minimum wage, no official pension scheme, no competition law,
and no minimum wage? Nah, come on, dog. No motherfuckers was out there getting paid 30 cents an hour.
No social welfare system. And most importantly, it had extremely low taxes, so that the money stayed in the hands of the private sector, rather than being redistributed by the government. But there was one big problem with this decision. Taxes are normally where countries get their money from, and without taxes, the colonial government had to find a different source of revenue. And it did. Since Hong Kong was a colony, all the land was a property of the government, and that has never really changed, because the government never sold any of this land. Instead, it has been leasing the land to real estate developers that want to build there, and those leases have represented the main source of income for Hong Kong ever since. But because these leases are the main source of Hong Kong's income, they need to be expensive to make enough money, and the way that the government keeps them expensive is by limiting their supply. In other words, the government is incentivized to keep the housing expensive, because the more expensive it is, the more money it makes. And so it is only leasing a small part of the land that could be otherwise used to build property.
Just start taxing.
And it works for the real estate developers
Just start
as well,
taxing
since they know that whatever they build is guaranteed to sell at whatever price they want. Because with the limited supply, there is zero competition, and they have absolute monopoly over the market. But what that means for the regular people is that the amount of available housing is extremely limited and absolutely insufficient for the amount of people that live in the city. And expensive housing is not the only unwanted result of the non-interventionism policy. Despite its high GDP, in 2020, around 23% of Hong Kong's population, roughly 1.6 million people, lived below the poverty line, which is way more than in almost any other country in Asia. And the situation has been even worse in the population group of people over 65, as more than 40% of the elderly have been below the poverty line in 2020, resulting in the phenomenon of cardboard grandmas. Older people who are collecting cardboard boxes throughout the city so that they can sell them to recyclers.
I don't like the way the back looks, man.
In the phenomenon of cardboard grandmas.
Bro.
Older people who are collecting cardboard boxes throughout the city so that they can sell them to recyclers for a small sum of money, which is often the only job they can get. And over the long term, the situation has been actually getting gradually worse rather than better, as the poverty rate has almost doubled since the 1980s. But why is that actually? Why are there so many poor people in one of the wealthiest cities in the world? When the unemployment is low and the economy has been growing?
People just don't
well,
care.
The thing is that while Hong Kong is one of the wealthiest cities, this wealth is also extremely unevenly distributed. But
it's not that they don't care, it's just people that do care, they don't have the power to make change. The people that are in power, well, they're good. Their families are well fed and taken care of. Why do they care? People, we only care about our own. We're already individuals. That's what capitalist society is all about. Everybody's out for themselves. That's the culture that you bring about. And that's going to get embedded into people's, belief systems and governing system. Like their shits. The psyche. It's like, yeah, everyone for themselves. Hey, look, it's fairness. That cardboard granny, look, being held to the same standards as everybody else, Everybody else has to work for their stuff, so cardboard granny, she's gonna have to do it as well.
But this did not happen by accident. Hong Kong actually developed in two separate waves of progress. First, in the 1950s, Hong Kong developed thanks to a wave of industrialization, especially through textile manufacturing, pushed by low taxes, easy export, and cheap labor that was available thanks to millions of immigrants coming in from China. They needed jobs, textile manufacturers needed workers, and as a result, Hong Kong made money. But this has changed once Hong Kong found another, easier way to make money. In the late 1970s, China had a new leader who replaced Chairman Mao and announced a new direction for the formerly isolated country, launching its economic transformation. And this has been a huge opportunity for Hong Kong. Being part of the UK, with its low taxes, English as an official language, and a capitalist culture, Hong Kong was a natural gateway to China and a base for Western companies coming to invest there. And this has changed Hong Kong's economy completely. The manufacturing started to disappear, and local businesses started to focus on providing financial and commercial services instead. And while these offered much higher added value and better pay for people who worked in those sectors, they also...
I kind of want to go to China. I love the look, the aesthetic of all these, like... For some reason, I just like it, you know? Of all these, like, billboards that can light up and stuff. I like it. I don't know why. I just like the aesthetic. I want to be there, like, at night, you know? Especially, like, in the future. You guys ever seen, like, those futuristic shows of, like, Japan? Like, 2080 or something? Like, some cyberpunk shit? Like, Japan or, like, Hong Kong and these places with all these billboards of signs that I can't understand. I don't give a fuck. I just like the aesthetic for some reason.
Also offered a lot less jobs, and all the people who have worked in the factories and who are now unable to land the few high-paid and high-qualified jobs in finance were left behind and forced to find low-paying service jobs without any perspective of ever moving higher up or a proper salary, while living in the most expensive city in the world that's getting more expensive every year. And the government has not been too eager to help them either.
Of course
the
they're
principles
not.
of non-interventionism and the belief in small government have survived in Hong Kong even after the city-state was handed over to China in 1997. And the government that sees itself as an institution that should help to create wealth, but not to redistribute it, and promotes individual responsibility, has been reluctant to get too involved in the situation. But here's the problem with this. Despite the claims of Hong Kong being the land of entrepreneurship, when it comes to business, the playing field in Hong Kong has not been even remotely even. The fact is that most of Hong Kong's economy is
Sorry, that's just hitting me. Like, the main focus is to create wealth, but not redistribute it. And at first glance, it's like, okay, fair enough. Right? I mean, those people earn their wealth. Why do I have to take it from them and give it to somebody else? But it's also like, I care about humans, you know, more than other animals. I will step on a bug. I'm not super, you know, not harming anything. I wouldn't harm a fly type of person, but people are held to a higher extent. You know, that's something that is kind of just in me, you know. I don't think I needed to learn that from anybody. I care about people. I don't really want to hurt them. It feels bad when I hurt somebody, which is why I usually never do. I have a moral compass. That's good. So something just tells me if I had the power, I couldn't just sit there and do nothing, you know, like if we have that much wealth, okay, if it's just not there, it's not there. But if it is there and people are having excess while somebody's out there cardboard grannies, you know, like, and seeing that excess, I just couldn't sit there and do anything about it if I, and not do anything about it if I had the power to, you know? I would
by
do
a small
something.
number of family clans that have held a tight grip over it since the colonial era. Each of these families own and operate large conglomerates that have since established monopolies in all of the most important industries like shipping, construction, real estate, or utilities. They are the ones who benefit the most from Hong Kong's system, and they have so much influence that starting a business that would go against their interest is nearly impossible. And so, despite the official claims, the option of starting a business is not as easy as it seems. while at the same time, Hong Kong's position as Asia's main financial center is slipping away, since the Chinese government has abandoned the principle of one country, two systems, and since it has been exercising ever tighter control of the city and taken away the freedoms that Hong Kong citizens used to have, the value that Hong Kong has for foreign investors has been diminishing along with its autonomy, and soon, Hong Kong might turn into just another Chinese city, with only skyscrapers, cage homes, and cardboard grandmas as memories of its former glory.
Jesus Christ, man. Jesus Christ, man. Let me know what you guys think. Amazing video. Let me know what needs to drop, man. I already watched all of those videos. This would be perfect for me to react to. Like, these let me know videos, they would be so good to react to, man. Like, drop! Fucking drop a new video. Fuck. It's been 7 months, man. We need new content. I've literally watched The Enduring Mystery of Jack the Ripper twice. I just never reacted to it. And like, ever since I started reactions, I'm like, dude, I would love to make a reaction video. Because these are like the best. My God, I love this content. Anyways, man, this is not a let me know video. Like I was saying, I don't know what the fuck the answer is, man. The answer is not simple. Like, fuck. I watch those videos and I get upset. I get upset, man. I can't help but not get upset. Seeing all those people out there, man, in those conditions. It's not like I'm much better, but at least I got a home. My fucking room is bigger than those cage homes that I was seeing. Fucking, oh my God. You just lose a little bit of the respect, a little bit of the, you know, whatever I might have believed before about what humanity's really all about. You lose some of it, you know, seeing people just not doing anything about it. Like, yeah, it's, you know, part of the culture, you know, the no interventionism, all of that. You're still following that. Should you really still be following that, knowing all of this? Because I know they're aware. You know very well what's going on. It's not like they just don't know. Whatever. Why are the people in power always the shittiest? It's just like the people that want power are not the type of people that we who don't want power would want to be in power. You know, the people that want power are those people that are absolutely egocentric. Those people that would be willing to do all of those campaigns to fight some other motherfucker against some other group. You already know how politicians are just by nature. Fucking politicians, man. Fucking hate all of you, man. Not all of you, but you know what I'm saying. Like, y'all piss me off, man. I'll see y'all on the next one. I'm furious. What the fuck? I said stop.